Hey everyone, welcome to a mask-free Mauritius. We're here at Super, where you do actually have to wear a mask. Everywhere else in Mauritius is now actually mask-free. Pretty much. Let's show you. This is a bit of a departure from our normal videos. We are showing you Super, which is an awesome shopping center, and I do most of my shopping just over there. But this video is more because people always ask, how can you be walking around without masks? And if you look, there are a lot of people wearing masks and also not wearing masks, because you don't have to actually wear a mask. There's no more corona on the island.
Yeah, because we went through an incredibly strict lockdown.
Incredibly strict. Let's take a stroll up the travelator, as if this was a time machine going back in time till all the way back to 17th of March.
Yeah.
Wow, it was a time, and we actually had a lockdown.
You were not allowed to leave your house.
You could not leave your house.
For any reason.
And that lasted 14 days. For us, it was 20 days because I went shopping there and thought, well, I'll go and do my next shopping next week like I normally do, and they shut it down. No more shopping. Now we're back in time. This is pretty much where I stood, exactly here. And on the last day that we actually did shopping before the lockdown. If only it was that fast. It literally took sometimes a minute to get from there to here.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Wow. 20 days later. 20 days.
Well, Super is a really big shopping center. What are you doing? Oh my word. Yeah. I think they're decorating at the moment for Valentine's Day.
Lockdown wasn't a lot of fun. We had to stay home. We weren't allowed out of our houses, and the police and the army were making sure no one could actually get around. You couldn't leave your house.
Yeah, there was only a few of the supermarkets were actually open when they were allowed to open, and you had to shop alphabetically. So 1/3 of the population at any point could only go shopping on a particular day. You had 2 days a week basically to go do all your shopping.
So shops like this were actually out of business for about 3 months.
Yes, they were closed.
Completely closed. Someone like Courts, which is right here, they could do home deliveries, but that's a disaster we're going to tell you about another time.
But yeah, you got some really good clothing shops, and there's even a market at the end, which we'll go and show you just now. Really big place. But again, during lockdown, the only thing that was open was the Super. Everything else was actually dark and a bit eerie.
As you can see, they still take your temperature, and you do have to wear a mask as you go in. We're not allowed to film in there, so we won't.
Mask on. So at Super, you've got these oil recycling places, so you can fill your old bottles up with your old cooking oil, and you can bring them here for recycling. So yeah, as you can see, all sorts of useful gadgets and weird gadgets that you wouldn't find anywhere else.
And if you look here, you don't actually have to buy a car. You just buy one of these and go and click it out in the parking lot.
See which car it fits.
Now that's your new car. Well, I told you about the white things. There are about 50 inside. But obviously more than 50 people came shopping on that first day. The first day we came back, people were lined up in that direction. But let me show you, because you won't actually believe it. down here, round that corner, and all the way onto Royal Road, down to the beach. That's how far it was.
So the reason places like Super and Intimate were so popular during lockdown shopping times when we could go shopping was because some of the smaller places like the Winners, they ran out of essential things like onions were impossible to get. You couldn't get onions or potatoes. Okay, so at Super you pick your trolleys up outside and they take a 5 rupee coin. So you put your 5 rupee in, remove your chain, and when you come back you put the chain in and take your 5 rupee. Some other supermarkets take 10 rupees, so always keep change with you. Check out that popcorn coming out. Smells yummy. Okay, so we've got the traditional food court and then we've also got the major chain section. With Pizza Hut, Debonair's and Steers. There is also KFC. And then there's a really nice food court area where whatever you've bought you can come and eat. It's really big. Yeah, the major restaurants and things only actually reopened in about July, so they were shut down for 3-4 months before they could actually open.
Some of the places like KFC and McDonald's, their drive-thrus opened up and you're allowed to go through the drive-thru.
If you were lucky enough to have a car, because there were also no buses or taxis working. So poor people without a car couldn't come to places like Super U.
If you didn't have a car, you had to walk.
You did.
There were no buses, there were no maroon taxis.
No.
It was a case of you got up early in the morning and you walked to your closest Winners or Super U or wherever you could find something. Yeah, out in the sun. Well, it's not all doom and gloom. Oh, that's a really nice kids park. But during lockdown, we also had times when it was actually kind of fun. I mean, we learned how to garden and things like that, which was pretty cool.
And everyone would go out onto their roofs if you had a roof. And you'd kind of check out on your neighbors and they'd be like, hey, you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. And yeah, it was your only way of seeing anybody, because even like if you were sick, you phoned somebody and they came to you. You were not allowed to leave your house.
You weren't allowed to leave your house. But one of the great things that did happen during this period was everyone started flying kites. So of course I built a kite. And you know, there were some great days, but ultimately we all knew that there was something bad. And we were all scared, and a lot of people were getting paid by the government, but they weren't sure that their company would still be there when business came back to usual.
But we didn't know when.
There was no clear indication, and every time the government would say, oh, it's going to reopen, they would then extend it another few weeks. One of the things that did get lost was up there. There was a craft market there where they used to make a lot of original Mauritian things, but it was mostly for tourists. And now, unfortunately, that's gone. But Super U has actually picked up, because a lot of the things that Mauritians buy, they still buy. Things like cell phones and computers and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Similarly, the Baie Bazaar in Baie is also more touristy. So those places haven't actually reopened again because we don't actually have any tourists.
Yeah, so unfortunately the tourist stuff has gone, and it does account for 6% of the GDP of Mauritius, but it does account for a lot.
So we're not free and clear by any means, but at least due to these strict measures we've taken, completely closing borders, we can go to the beach and have Chinese New Year and
stand in a crowd of people and not worry about getting coronavirus, because there is none on mainland Mauritius.
There's none on the island.
There is some out in quarantine, and if you come to Mauritius, you're going to spend 12 days there.
14 days.
14 days.
2 negative tests before you're allowed out.
There you go. It's that simple, and then you can come to Mauritius. Now, we're not going to plug the MTPA, which is the Mauritius Tourism Association, but they have something awesome.
Yeah, basically anyone who works from home or can work from home or doesn't need to work to earn a living, you can actually come here on a premium visa really easily and you can stay in this environment.
Yeah.
You still have to do the quarantine at the moment.
A lot of people actually going through quarantine that actually do work from their computers saying, what a great time, because they are putting them in all-inclusive luxury resorts.
Yeah, you can't go out of your room, but it is a nice room. And the food is good. Okay, so you got Roxy, always up to date with the latest island-style beach fashions. And some perfume. Yeah, really, really, really nice shoe shops. Okay, so in the middle of Supi, you get an artisan coffee where you can get fresh juices, beautiful coffees, smoothies, cake, sandwiches, all sorts of lovely things. This is pretty cool. This is a book nest. So basically you can drop off a book, you can take a book, you can do whatever you want. It's like a book exchange.
Look at that. Espanol. Spanish book. If you want a Spanish book, a lot of these about gardening here.
But yeah, people leave books and people borrow books. It's like a free library in the supermarket.
And you get to take it home, but you don't have to get a stamp and pay late fees.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's just like an honor system. No one's going to steal a book, you know.
Yeah. Well, this is Supi on a Sunday. You can see there are a lot of people walking around, having coffee, doing their shopping. If they're going into Supi, they're wearing a mask. If they're walking around, they probably aren't. But I'm going to take you to a place where there's probably a lot of people not wearing a mask.
Because you really don't have to.
This is the winners in Pereybere. Now, on the first day when we were finally allowed to come and shop again, someone was tested positive with coronavirus. So what they did was they closed this winners and they tested everyone until they got 2 negatives. They went into quarantine, and this shop did not open for 21 days, including contact tracing. The government took it very, very seriously. If there was a case, they took it very seriously. While I'm here at Winners, a bit embarrassing for them, but not just them, quite a few of the online shops like Price MU and some of those guys actually got permission to do home deliveries. You could buy a parcel of food that they pre-selected for you, so already a disaster waiting to happen there. Getting things like tinned mackerel when you don't even eat fish, unfortunate. But the good news is no one really got any of them. We ordered one and it never really arrived, although they said no, it's been delivered. We didn't pay any money, we didn't get any of the goods, and they were expensive, 3,000 rupees for a pack or more. And it was things like essentials like flour and rice and tinned noodles and pasta sauces, but the Panzan's pasta, which is really expensive. So you could get those, but you know, you didn't really need it. All you wanted was some flour. And then, sorry, there's no flour on this order, or sorry, your order's been delivered.
Not to mention, Winners was like the most strict place to go shopping.
Okay.
They still are.
Well, as you can see, it's still really strict.
But they had blocked off every lane and they were like, no, you go forward.
Yes, that was one of the things, is that you couldn't...
you cannot go back.
You cannot go back. You go and you shop. You forget butter. You've forgotten butter for that trip.
Yep.
You have to wait another 3 days before you can get your butter. Sorry, I'll move now in a second.
Beautiful Pereybere Beach. Everyone enjoying like normal, just no tourists. But the beaches actually were closed for like 4 whole months.
You couldn't go to the beach. Now, there were a few people who did. They broke the curfew and they actually went to quarantine prison. Not a nice quarantine, but prison. And it was very unpleasant, and a lot of people said, don't go to the beach, it's not worth it. And they were true.
Yeah, and you got fined huge amounts as well.
Now, everyone's on the beach and it's completely fine. Even kids. You can see kids on the beach now. Under 18, you could not leave your house until July. So April, May, June, July. 4 months of lockdown for them. Oh, look at that beach. That is a proper sea. That is beautiful out there. Wow, Pereybere really still delivers.
Oh yeah. So although it's really still hurting the tourism industry a lot, the construction industry is going strong and everything is being rebuilt and made beautiful for when all the tourists come back.
So when the tourists get back, and I'm just going to show you this beach.
You'll be able to enjoy this like we're being able to enjoy this.
We've started vaccinating, and all we have to do is get to 600,000, and if you got a vaccination, you can come here without quarantine and take advantage of the Premier Visa. I'm not going to plug those guys anymore, but the Premier Visa is really awesome.
So I suppose the main thing is, and that turquoise is just incredible, is that yeah, we can live like this now because we suffered for 3 months. We weren't allowed to leave houses. It was really, really strict.
It was tough. It was really tough.
Yeah, and that's how we can be without masks and things, because we don't have any coronavirus. Although it'll say we do, that's in quarantine centers and they're very strict, very strict. There's been no coronavirus in our local population since April last year.
It's coming up on a whole year of nothing in the local population. Wow, wow, wow. That is something spectacular. But also, during the time we went into quarantine was on the 19th, which is almost at the end of the month. Most people get paid on the 25th. So they didn't have money, so they couldn't actually do shopping.
Yeah,
So-
you couldn't do shopping, so people were already at the end of their month salty cracks. And then all shops were closed for 3 solid weeks
So the time they got their money, they couldn't actually go shopping.
because the shops were completely closed. No one could leave their house.
You couldn't leave your house, so what you had in your pantry was what you had in your pantry.
Yeah, and then all the community stepped in with packages of rice and flour and tinned vegetables and oil, essentials, and they were distributing it all safely, like in hazmat suits.
Hazmat suits.
Yeah, I was following it all on social media as best I could.
It's hot in the sun here and I'm walking too close to the beach now, so I'm just going to pull back a little bit. But, you know, to have this freedom, I would go through it again.
Yeah.
I think I would do it again. 3 months, it was hard. The real hardship was actually the 20 days we spent where we couldn't buy anything more. And we ran out of flour.
And we saw no one except a few people from our roof.
Yeah, that's all we saw. And then the long time when you could go out once every 3 days and go and get some groceries, but you stayed at home still. And surprisingly, we didn't watch that many Netflix.
Yeah, I would definitely do it again. Definitely, although it was hard. To be able to experience this with complete freedom, well worth it. There.
I'll turn it so that you can't see. The Amstel, FYI, we drink Amstel, so if there's a sponsorship in the future.
So yeah, I suppose the main takeout is that well done to the people of Mauritius.
Yeah, we are now free.
We did it.
We are
did
free.
So we were actually really lucky living in Goodlands because we had a house with a bit of garden and it had banana trees,
Pawpaw trees.
pawpaw trees, and we had some space that we could plant. And so when we harvested our bananas, we went and left some at all of the neighbors, and then they would come and leave us some guavas or
Pomegranates.
Pomegranates. What they had, which was really nice as a community. I mean, we weren't as lucky as some of those people who were TikToking from their villas by the sea.
And all going out to the beach every day because the police weren't checking their areas.
Yeah. But we did have a nice community, so that was actually really good. Well done, Mauritius. Well done for everything that we did. Proud of you. Enjoy.
Everyone's swimming in the sea out there. Everyone's sitting in the shade. Even those guys practicing their beach volleyball. We are the ones who did it. We went through 3 weeks of complete hell, went through 4 months of complete lockdown, and we came out together. And now we are free to do this. So everyone, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you on this beach soon. But everywhere else in Mauritius Oh man, look at that beach! Look at that beach!